Many traders trade all the time and they don't really find an edge into the trading. Now, I'm going to show you guys a model that I use. So, if you guys have been following me, right, I've used many models in my life, and most of the models that I use are just a modified version of the previous model that I use. All right, so for now, I'm still holding my two models, but this model was never shared anywhere. All right, so what is this model? This model, I call it the Mario model hybrid. All right, so I trade two model essentially. One is the 10 a.m. PO3 and the Mario model hybrid. Now, this model, I have back tested it for so long, live tested it, forward tested it for so long, and only this week I traded it with a live account. I mean, a new account, right? So I've traded it with it, right? So although this account is in the eval phase, right, I have back tested it for so long, and I'm gonna show you guys in a while. All right, this video is gonna be a little long because I'm gonna give you guys this whole model for free. All right, but of course, if you want to learn more in depth, like every parts, like how to see SMTs, how to see CISDs, how to do this, how to do that, and all that, how to see your daily bias in depth, right? Do join the VIP, but I think this video alone will get you guys going. All right. So, with that being said, as you can see on your screen, this is the dashboard for this week alone, right? We took six trades altogether. We had 4 wins, 2 losses. The win rate is about 66.7% just for this week alone, and we made 2,400. So if you know evaluation accounts, you need 3,000. So we fell $600 short for this week. So hopefully we can get this eval funded by next week. All right. So with that being said, before we go through the trades that we took for this week, I want to show you guys my dashboard. All right. So this is the profit and loss factor of one of the backtest session that we did, and yeah, the total PNL was 6,000. Right, that was an 80% win rate over 11 trades, just 11 trades, right? 8-2, and I backtested this on during the time where there was war news, the closure of Strait of Hormuz, and am I saying that right? Yeah, I mean the closure of the straits. You guys get what I mean, right? So yeah, this was our PNL and all that. So this was within a month, and within a month we made about 6K in backtest. All right. So this was one of the backtests, and then ever since March, I've been just using this account silently with another Tradify account that I have, and yeah. But the Tradify account, that, as I said, right, I was live testing this. I wasn't like really testing it with an eval account, right? It was a Tradify account. I'm so sorry. It was a TraderVate account. A TraderVate account, my bad. It was a TraderVate account that, you guys can just apply for a demo account, right? Yeah. So I was using that and then just live testing it all this while. And finally I was confident enough, right? I've like made enough data to live test it, and as you saw, right, this week we made this much. All right. So with that being said, let's go straight into the trades that we took. Let me just clear this. So on your charts, on the screen that you see right now, what do you see is on the left is NQ. So I usually just trade NQ. I use on the right is ES. I use ES for SMT divergence and all that. All right. So let's go straight ahead, and let me just set up on the Monday first, and then I'll go through these trades. It's Monday. All right. Cool. Now, let's go straight ahead and show you how to take this trade. All right. So, for NQ, right? I've not tested this on gold, by the way, but feel free to use it on gold. Back test it first, see if it works for you. All right. But I've been using this on NQ, and yes, it works. All right. So going into your trade, you need to wait for the 9:30 to open. All right. So before the 9:30 open, you need to have your daily bias. All right. So how to find daily bias? Go look at my previous video. I've done it in depth, right? And yeah, you can actually learn it. But in the previous video for daily bias, we go from weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour. But for this, you just need the 4 hour and the 1 hour. All right. Another thing I want to say that is you don't actually need a daily bias for this, but if you have a daily bias, it just makes you extra confident in the trade that you're taking, because you will know that should you take your profits early or should you just let it play out, right? That's called discretion. That is something that no one can teach. It's basically you and the chart, right? So I usually use my daily bias, and if I am against the trend, as I said in my other videos, it's possibly a retracement, so I could still capitalize on it. All right, so these are the two time frames that you need for your daily bias. All right, next, what is the important time frame that you need, right? So the important time frame is this two time frame, 15-minute and the 1 minute. Now let's go in depth into it. All right, so at 9:30 open, right, what we want to see price do. All right, let's just say we are bullish. All right, before 9:30 we see our buyers and we are bullish. All right, now price is doing something like that. All right, and at 9:30 open, I said this is 9:30 open. All right, and then you see price do something like that and then like that, right? But in this move right here, we're gonna find a 15-minute fair value gap, the first presented fair value gap. So let's say in this case, this was the first presented fair value gap on the 15-minute. All right, and then maybe there's like more fair value gaps here and all that. I don't care about that. All right, we're only going to care about the first presented 15 minutes. All right, in this case, now we have this first presented 15-minute, and this is going to be super important for us. What we do then is let me do this, just do this. All right, so this is on the 15-minute. What we do then is we drop to the 1 minute. All right, once we have the fair value gap, the first presented fair value gap, so that you don't get distracted, we drop to the 1 minute. Now on the 1 minute, what I want you guys to do is quite simple, right? We are just going to wait for price to come and retest this fair value gap. Now when the price retests this, we need two important things to happen. All right, we need a SMT divergence with a correlating pair. For this case, NQ is ES, right? So this is a bullish setup, so we need a SMT, and then once we get an SMT, we're gonna wait for a CISD, right, and aim at least for a minimum of 1:2. All right, so now what is a SMT? If you guys don't know what is SMT, I would suggest check it out. YouTube, there's many videos, but if you're still not too sure, I'll just show you guys. All right, so now let's say this, okay, let's say this is NQ. All right, and then this is ES. ES is basically S&P. All right, all right, so this is called a bullish SMT, when you know that the price swept on NQ, like the lower low was swept on NQ, but on ES it did not sweep. Right, so now this is an SMT. All right, this is SMT divergence. All right, and this shows that if it's below, price is going up. Right, now if the same thing is going to be like that, how do I do this? Cool. If the same thing is going to be like that, right, NQ does not sweep but ES sweeps, that's called a bearish SMT, and that means that price is going down. So bullish SMT will be below, bearish SMT will be above. That is the simplest way that I can explain. All right, so we're gonna see what we're gonna see an SMT here, right? We need an SMT and then a CISD. So what is a CISD? CISD is basically okay, let's just say at this point right here, right, price is over here, it's going down, we need a CISD. Now CISD is basically the last up candle, right? The up candle's body at the top is your CISD point. So the moment it breaks, you have a CISD, right? So we'll enter on the retest of the CISD and potentially try to move higher, right? So that is a CISD, the last up candle's body before the down move. All right, if you don't know CISD, you can also check it on YouTube, or you can join our VIP where I really break down all this. All right, so I hope you guys understood this. Where's my drawings? Hope you guys understood this concept. So the same is true for, bro. Wait. What just happened? Okay, so the same is true. Why can't I? Okay, I can't move it already, but yeah, the same is true if this was a bearish setup, right? So let's say our bias was bearish, right? And then you have something like this, right? You have a first presented there. This is on the 15 minute. We wait for the price to tap. Right? You wait for a CISD. Sorry, you wait for a SMT divergence, then you wait for a CISD re-entry, and then bam, 1:2. Simple as that. Now, there will be times, right, where your bias is bullish, but you get a setup that is bearish. All right, what do you do then? You can still take the trade, right? If you tap into the fair value gap, you have a CISD. You still have SMT and a CISD. You can still take the trade, but just keep in mind, right? This is a retracement, so as long as you hit your break-even points, take partials, right? Do not gamble with it because it's not going with your trend, right? But if let's say you don't believe in taking partials, you just want to go break even, that is on you, right? That's your own discretion. Now, what happens when this happens, right? Like let's say again you're bullish, you got a bearish fair value gap, first presented 15-minute fair value gap, right? The price goes here, but you don't get a CISD. You have an SMT but no CISD, but the price breaks above. Now, this break above has to be on the 15-minute, meaning a 15-minute body closure has to happen on top, right? For you to know that this 15-minute fair value gap was inverse. Now, if this is inversed, right, this just simply becomes a inversion fair value gap, right? And it's still the first presented gap. But what happens is this automatically becomes a B setup. You can still take the trade, right? But it just becomes a B setup, right? Same thing, you gotta wait for a retest of the IFVG with a, what do you call that? SMT, CISD, retest of the CISD, and you can enter, right? Simply said, it's just that, right? So now if you don't understand what's happening and all that, right? It's already 13 minutes, right? If you don't understand up till this point, we're gonna go through some live examples with notes. As I said at the start of this video, it's gonna be long. So if you want to learn something, put in the time and everything, right? So the first trade, this is on 13 July at 9:30. As you can see, we had a win. We made about 1:3, right? Now let's read the notes first and then we can go ahead with the trade. All right, so my bias on the day was bullish. All right, in this video I'm not going to go through bias because you guys would have known, but maybe for the first trade I'll go through it. All right, if you don't know how to see daily bias, again, go and look at my last video or join the VIP where I break down how to see daily bias. All right, yeah, so bias bullish, fair value gap was a bearish fair value gap that turned bullish, like the inversion fair value gap, right? So it's empty on the 1 minute. Entry was with a CISD. The reason was the first fair value gap was a bearish fair value gap. Setup was formed, but no CISD entry. Waited for price to inverse and retap the F value gap, fair value gap, with a SMT and a CISD entry. Now, let's take a look at this trade. Cool. It's like that. But nevertheless, let's go back. Let's do it. All right. For this, only this trade, I'm going to go through the bias. All right. So this is at 9:30. My 4 hour, what is my 4 hour doing? Forward just break past this low. That was the last move. So I am what? I am bearish, right? Why was I bearish? No, I'm so sorry. We break past this low. True, right? We are bearish. But what else do you notice? We have a swing low here that swept and closed. So again, now I'm bullish, right? On the 1 hour, what am I doing? 1 hour, same thing, right? We swept, we went above, we are closing past all these fair value gaps, right? And then we are reacting off this fair value gap. So yeah, I am bullish, right? This 1 hour candle is still forming, so I'm not gonna care about it. But this fair value gap was swept and being respected at 9 o'clock. So that is my last move. So I am bullish at least up to this point, right? Cool. So now we're gonna go to the 15 minute. Right, we're gonna go to the 15 minute, and what do you see? Candles going down, right? And then we form a bearish first presented 15-minute fair value gap, right? So I'm gonna mark that out. So this is a bearish gap. Now, what was my bias? My bias was bullish, but what did I say? You don't actually need a bias also, right? So again, on the left side, it's NQ, on the right side it is ES, all right? So since we have a gap and all that, I was looking for a bearish setup, right? Because it might be a retracement, so I'm waiting. We tapped into the gap. We did not get a CISD, right? And we actually had a SMT, right? When we tapped, we had an SMT, which is over here, right? We have an SMT, but we don't have a CISD, right? So I was waiting for it to play out, went down, went up. There was no CISD because the CISD would be the last down move before this up move, right? So this wasn't broke, as in a no candle closure, right? So then I saw the candle closing above, so I was like, okay, maybe 15 minutes closing above, right? And when I went to the 15 minute, I saw that a 15-minute candle closed above. So what just happened? My bearish fair value gap became an inversion fair value gap, and that shows me what we are following the trend. We just became bullish. Everything is aligned, right? So what can I do now? I can confidently take a trade, right? So what did I do? I was waiting for a retest, which we actually got here, right? What else do you see? We have a SMT over here, right? And for the ES, it was this, right? One was swept, one didn't sweep. Cool. What did I wait for? Just waiting for wait. Oh, cool. Then we went lower, right? But we are still respecting this fair value gap, right? Although we are bearish, although we are in inversion fair value gap, we are still respecting that gap. Cool. And also remember what I said, discretion, right? What do you see here? It's just so much of rejection. So it gives us extra conviction that we are going up. Let me go back a little. All right. So what did I see on Monday was that we had a SMT divergence with this also, right? This is going up and this was going down. Sorry, I marked the SMT wrongly. My bad. Right, so this was going down, this is going up. Where's our CISD? This was the last move before the up move, right? So that would have been our CISD. Wait for candle closure above. We had that, right? So I was waiting for a re-entry over here, just like that, right? Aimed for a 1:3, I believe. Yeah, we aimed for a 1:3. The reason being is because we are all aligned, right? I was initially aiming for these highs. Why is that? Is because on the 1 hour we had all the way here to play with, which is the -4, right? I wasn't too greedy. I was just aiming for these highs over here. Sorry, these highs over here. And as you can see, what happened next, we got retapped, and we went all the way up. Now if I play this out, we hit stop loss right after that. Now why is that? Although our 1 hour is all the way up here, right, we can still play till here and all that, right? Remember, this just became a B setup because our fair value gap was inversed, right? Why did I aim for this highs or maybe this highs right here? Because this is all low resistance liquidity. Now what is low resistance liquidity? Basically it's just a trend line, right, where price just did not sweep previously before going down. So all these are just liquidity points waiting to be taken. If the price really wants to go down, it will just sweep up and then go down. All right, so that was the first trade. Second trade on the 15th, right, Tuesday, we did not get a trade set up. Yeah, 14 we did not get a setup. We did not get an entry, which was cool with me. Let this play out first. It's on the 15th. All right, on the 15th, this is on the 15th, we had a loss, right? Our bias was bearish, fair value gap was bearish. We had a 1 minute SMT, entry CSD. The reason for the entry was first fair value gap was a bearish fair value gap. Setup was formed with a CISD entry and an A plus setup, right? But we still lost. So this is clear indications that even if we have a plus setup, we can still lose. All right, remember that. That is something that many people fail to realize. So again, I'm not going to go through the bias, right? We're just going to go ahead and see what happened on that day. So we had a first presented here after 9:30. Sorry, I went too fast. So after 9:30, we had a first presented there, right? And this coincides with our M.A.R.I.O model, PO3 model, right? Because why? Right now it's 10 o'clock. After the fair value gap was created, it was 10 o'clock. Cool. What did we do next? We were waiting for 1 minute. Waiting for a 1 minute to go in and tap us, right? We had a tap. We had a CISD over here. All right, cool. We had a CISD over here. We also had a SMT over here, right? From this highs to these lows over here on NQ, which was not swept, but on ES it was swept, right? So we had an SMT, right? CISD would have been this down candle there, right? So we took an entry there. We are waiting for a retest actually, right? Aiming just a 1:2, but we went up and hit our stop loss. So this was an A plus setup, right? Because bias and everything was going with it, right? So we didn't win, right? So again, on that same day, right, we are waiting for another setup. So I limit myself to 2 trades per day. So same thing, everything is same, right? It's just that our entry was a little different because the price went a little higher, right? Wait, I think I put in the wrong photo. Did I put in the wrong photo? Oh no, it's the right one. I clicked the wrong one. My bad. Yeah. So we're waiting for another CISD, right? We had a CISD there. I believe this was the one that I entered with a 1 minute. Yeah, this was the one. So since we already lost the first trade, right? Let me just do the SMT first. So we had an SMT over here, right? So as you can see, right, this is actually going down. And then on ES, this was going up. Cool. Right, so where's my CISD? CISD is over here. So this is my CISD line. I was waiting for a retest of this CISD, but as you can see over here, right, this was like a 58.25 because our stop loss is at the swing high, right? This was that, and then I was actually thinking like, if this is gonna go up here and then go down here, that will be cool. But since we already lost the first trade, I might want to take the trade if it comes and taps on our fair value gap, right? But as you can see, right, there's one rule that I followed almost every model that I use, right? If the trade is above 60, I do not take the trade. All right, I try to find reasons to make it lesser than 60. Yeah, lesser than 60. But if I can't, I will at least make it lesser than 70. Right, so that is a risky trade, right? I wouldn't recommend that. But as you can see, what happened next, right? We actually marked this, and it's a 1:2. So as you know, I did not take the trade with following the rules, because I broke the rule that enter on the retest, right? There was actually another reason. Let me see if I can show you the reason. Was it this? Where was it? Oh yeah, okay. Another reason why I took it at here was because look at ES. What is ES doing? ES is still making high highs, right? But on NQ is making lower lows, right? So that shows me that okay, the price is heavily being disrespected. It's gonna go down, right? So I'm not gonna take any chances. So I entered on the center point of this 1 minute fair value gap, right? And then we aimed at 1:2. -1 was my break even point. I took out some partials and then we just hit 1:2, right? So that was the second trade, and we still made 600 because although this was my partial point, I just let the trade ride a bit more till I hit the 600 profit, and yeah, that's why we hit 600. All right, so next day 16. Oh no, what did I do? All right, 16, 16, 16. All right. On the day of 16, we had, okay, how long is this video? All right, it's 27 minutes, guys. 27 minutes and counting. I just want to give you guys as much value as I can before I end this video. I mean, yeah, because trading is knowledge, and I just want you guys to have this knowledge. So at least if I can help one person, that would be different, right? I know sometimes the videos are draggy, super long, but if you stay true to it and you stayed all the way, there's so much sauce that I'm giving, and you guys would learn a lot. All right, so on this day, my bias was bearish, right? Yeah, on 16, cool. So 16, I was bearish, all right, which is Thursday, right? So the bias was bearish to bullish at 10 a.m., right? 10 a.m. because why? I traded PO32, so I was also looking for that setup. So that's when I realized that from 9:30 to 10, my bias from bearish became bullish, right? But my fair value gap was still bearish, where the SMT, CISD, first value gap was bearish, setup was formed with CISD entry after the inversion, right? So at 10, I realized that okay, my bias is becoming bullish, so it's my fair value gap going to get inverse, and yeah, it got inverse, so it became a B setup, bullish setup. So the first setup, if I'm not wrong, it was more than 60 points. All right, cool, and then it was ignored, and I took the next setup. Let's take a look. Right, so it got inversed, retested, had a CISD over here, right, had an SMT. I'm not going to go through the first setup. So as you can see on the photo, right, we got an inversion, tap, SMT, CISD, but these were more than 60, right, went lower and then gave us another one. And oh, I remember this day. Okay, this, right, although we follow the setup, I will call it a lucky win, right? The reason being is, I'll show you guys. 9:30 open. Oops, too fast. 9:30 open. Well, a 15-minute gap, right? We did not get any 1-minute CISDs, SMTs during this break. Then I realized at 10, we just became bearish. From bearish, we became bullish, and also we had an inversion of this fair value gap. So cool, everything is aligned right now. So I wanted to find for a entry over there, went to the 1 minute. Alright, it's waiting. Then we had this SMT over here. As you know, I showed you in the photos, right? We had an SMT over here. Was it this? I think it's this. Right, we had a CISD. Right, but look at the stop loss. It was more than 87 points. So definitely I wouldn't have took this. Right, then I was waiting for next setup, which we got lower, right? And we had again another SMT. As you can see, this is going low, this is going high, right? We had a CISD entry right over here, right? We had a break, stops below this. Put our fib, right? We normally aim for the -2, right? But as I said, this is a B setup, although everything is aligned because our fair value gap got inverse. So I'm not going to aim for the -2, I'm just going to aim for 1:2, right? What happened next was, wait, why did I lose? I thought I won. Wait, I did something wrong. This was, oh, my bad. I did it wrong. My bad. This was the last move. Let me go back a little. All right, so why is this the move? Why is this the CISD? Because this was the last up candle before the down move that caused the SMT, right? That caused this to go lower. My bad. So this was it. 1:2, right? I did not even aim for that, right? And then we went up. Cool. We had a retest of the CISD. Nice. And then we went up. My break even was exactly at this -0, at this 0, right? We hit a 1:2, right? The reason why I call this a lucky win, right, is because we have all this low range liquidity here, and if everything was right, everything was aligned, right? 4 hours bullish, 1 hours bullish, we had a 15-minute inversion gap. It was supposed to go to the -2, but what happened next was it just went down. So this was a heavy manipulation day, right? And that's why I call it a lucky win, because right after that, what do you see? It's just going sideways, right? So this was really a lucky win, right? Although yes, we followed everything right to the T, and it is a win, right? Because we followed the rules. All right, we're gonna go through the last 2 days. Last day, which is Friday, the 17th, which was yesterday actually. So yesterday I was back in Singapore, and I was actually wanting to trade it and all. So I was literally trading this on my phone. I was like so sleepy. I was just trading this, and yeah, the rest was history. So again, let's go through it. Buyers bullish, fair value gap bullish, 1 minute SMT, CISD. Reason was first fair value gap was bullish, setup was formed. Again, stop loss was above 60 points for the first setup, so I waited for the second setup, but the second setup also failed, although this was a A+ setup, right? Let me go through the next trade also, because there was 2 trades, right, taken yesterday. Same thing, everything was same thing. So setup was formed, first setup was hit on the SL, right? So I went ahead to take another entry, but since SL was small and the fib was large, I decided to give it a breathing room, right? What do I mean by that? Let's go ahead and look at it. All right, so again, let's go through it. Right, so again, bias was bullish, waiting for a bullish setup, a bullish fair value gap, right? Because 9:30 open and nothing until here, so we have a bullish fair value gap. Let me just put this in gray because it's a bit hard to see on the camera. Why is it not? Oh, all right, so this was the gap. Cool. Now what we do, we wait for the 1 minute. Waited for the 1 minute, had a retest, right? Now this is a little different because this is called 2 candle SMT, right? Although you can use this, it's just a bit different because it's a 2 candle SMT, right? So you can still use it, but it's a bit weird to use it. So this was our CSD, right? Last up candle before the down move. Now if you look at the stop loss, it was more than 60, so I did not have any way to make this lesser than 60, so I did not take this trade. Right, cool. Then I waited for the second setup, which for a second setup, if you guys are wondering how do I look for a second setup, right? Basically, it has to go lower than your first setup, right? And then form a SMT and then form a CISD. That's when you can look for a second setup, right? In this case, we had a second setup being formed right over here, right? Cool. As you can see, this went lower. This, on the other hand, went higher, right? I don't know if you guys can see this. Right, this went higher, this went lower. Cool. What was I doing? I was waiting for a CISD, which is this, right? The up move before the down move. So this was our CISD. I entered here. I believe I used the Fib. Yeah, I was actually aiming for a good amount of trade because why not, right? What happened next was we hit our stop loss and cool, that was my first trade. So I was waiting for another trade if I'm gonna get, because it's the end of the week, right? Why not? So at this point right here, yeah, we had an SMT over there, right? Because why? This was going down on NQ, this was going up on ES, alright? So where is our CISD? Is this move, the up move before the down move, right? So I was waiting for this to get broken before entering. So as you can see, right, my stop loss is 22 points, right? But on this day, right, as I said, sometimes just discretion. On this day, I just felt like, wait, why? If I use my Fib and all that, I was like, wait, my Fib is super huge. Now, if I'm gonna aim all the way here, that's a 1:5. I'm definitely not gonna aim 1:5. So if this is my end point, right, that means I can actually give it a little breather room instead of putting it so close, because sometimes price just stops you out and then goes up, right? That happens a lot recently, right? So I gave a little breathing room because I knew that even if I'm going to give it a breathing room, two things can happen. I can just lose the trade, or it will sweep this out and then go up, right? If I can give it a breathing room, why not? This is called discretion, right? I do this normally when my stop loss is about 30 point stop loss and below, right? Then I give it a breathing room. So as you can see, right, we went up, we broke, we're waiting for a retest, right, which we got at this candle right here. Cool, we had a retest. Look at what happened next. We swept this low, right? We swept that low, but I wasn't taken out. Why? Because I gave a breathing room. This is called discretion, right? So where was my break even? My break even is at the -1 level right here, right? So waited, we broke, we tapped, I went break even. I did not take any partials, right? Because my bias was bullish, everything is bullish. We hit a -2. We did not even take a. Did I take a 3.81? Oh yeah, cool. So at -2, sorry, at 1:2, which was here, right? I did not take anything, but at the break even point, I took out partials, right? And then I let the rest run, and I made about, I think, 900. Yeah, I made about 900, right? And yeah, that was the end of the day, guys. That was the end of the trade, and we made 2,400, just like that. So this model I just gave you guys for free. Do what you want with it, go and modify it, go and do whatever you feel like doing, right? But please, before you do this model, go back test it. And once again, if you guys want to learn every single thing that I do step by step, more in depth, join the VIP in our Discord. The Discord is in the bio, right? Copy it, paste it on your browser, and then yeah, I'll see you guys there. If you guys got any question, hit me up on Discord. And yeah, that's all. Peace out.